Hi everyone, I'm Ahana.
And I'm Celine.
And welcome back to another episode of the
We Are Podcast.
Today we're doing a health informative / kind of fun episode.
Yes.
So we're just going to talk about like unpreventable sort of diseases stuff. And they're not necessarily like diseases. I feel like that sounds really like desperate.
Like more like affliction. Wait, that sounded
ailment, health issues.
Health complications.
Yes, health complications.
Yes.
Chronic illness.
God.
But
what in the world is
and on our website under weare-youth.org/health, you can find an entire section on health where we talk about all
so
these
please
stuff.
check that out.
But we're just going to be talking about some unpreventable diseases. Let's start off with like cancer. That's really dull.
Oh.
That's like a dark place to start, but
Yeah.
I feel like that's really important. So like
Absolutely.
there's a lot of like cancer is basically like where there's like a malfunction in your DNA.
And like your blood cell count too.
Yeah.
It's like
So like there's a malfunction in like your cells in which like you produce too much of a cell and like your body like attacks itself, and it's like all these things, and it can really weaken your immune system. The most common one in kids I think is like leukemia and lymphoma, which is like a blood cell cancer in which like your blood cells sort of like there's a lot of issues with them, and like it's a really like
it can be so devastating.
It can be, yeah. So basically, like leukemia is something that is mostly like
for kids, like mostly.
Well, not mostly for kids,
but yeah,
it's the most common kid cancer.
For kids, like yeah. Like kids are more likely to have like leukemia than like lung cancer or something.
Yeah. So leukemia kind of starts when like it can lead to like mutations and like the ways that like the cells are made in the blood marrow, and it leads to all sorts of like different things, and like the only really way to treat it is through like things like chemo, or like which is like a medication you take that's supposed to like kill cancer cells, but it doesn't always work, and neither does other treatments like radiation therapy, which is like another thing.
So there are many different like treatments, but it doesn't always combat the cancer, especially there are different stages. There's like stage 1 and then there's like stage 4, and it depends cancer to cancer. Like the worst type of cancer I
forgot. I think it's like
it's something. Let me look it up real quick. Worst.
But like a lot of cancers, like it's the thing with cancer is like we don't know anything about it. Basically, like it's so unknown. We don't have a solid cure.
We are like researching so much, and I certainly hope that like say like 20 years from now we are able to find like a cure, or if we can't find a cure, something that like really really helps a lot, like because we have gotten far like in a lot of ways with cancer research, and we gotta like thank those scientists and stuff, but we also still haven't found anything that like stops every type of cancer completely.
For sure.
And it doesn't, like some people can get cancer and then it can come back, like, and it's just a devastating thing, especially like if you have like a child with cancer. But
yeah, because, like, you can't, like, you have to wear masks everywhere. You have to use hand sanitizer because their immune system is so weak from, like, the cancer cells, so, like, fighting their regular cells, that they need to take those extra precautions.
It makes you extremely high risk for COVID. Definitely. And, you know, on the bright side of this, you can help, though, which is, I think, a great thing. Like, if supporting someone who has cancer, just, like, you know, whatever that means, like, making them dinner, like, spending a ton of time with them, you know, letting them know, like, helping them out whenever you can, like, shopping for them, stuff like that to, like, make their life easier. But then also, like, even if you don't know anyone with cancer, there's so many things you can do. Like, at our school, we have this whole fundraiser for cancer where we, like, raise money, and we also, like, Ahana, actually, do you want to talk about shaving your head?
Oh, yeah, so, like, we have a fundraiser, and like I think a lot of schools across the country do this, where basically like you can donate and then shave your head in support of like leukemia or like other awareness like things. And I actually shaved my head a couple years back, and it was like it was so meaningful to me because I feel like cancer is such an awful thing, and I felt like I was able to like better sympathize with like a little like tiny like 1% of what they go through, and that kind of just made me, I feel like, a more compassionate person.
And it was very brave because it's hard to like give up your hair, but
imagine those kids who like also like they not only have to give up their hair, but they're also
they have
going
to
through
deal with that
the physical pain, like,
and chemo can actually cause pain too. Like it can be
like
painful.
Migraines, like throwing up all the time. Like,
and it's so hard to go through. So like just helping out in any way that you can, like shaving your head to provide someone with a wig, or like donating money is huge. And like we actually, like, there was like this 5K at like our school a few years ago where you could like give, I think like the money from the 5K went to like cancer too. So there are stuff like that. There are like events, and of course just like, you know, just supporting in any way that you can, you know.
Yeah, like, and I also think another thing with the shaving is, like, my hair also, like, went to make wigs for the people with cancer. But it like, free wigs. But also, like, I think it kind of just, like, go to show that the kids, that we support them. And that, like, you're willing to give up your hair to, like, show them that, like, we're standing with you. And so just, like, those small acts, like, definitely help.
And there are also these, like, websites, I forget the names of them, but they're, like, you can, like, make cards for, like, kids with cancer, and you can, like, send them to the hospitals where, like, you could just write a nice message. And even though that won't fix the situation, it still gives them, like, a smile. You know, you can, like, make them happy. So, you know, really, even if you can't outright prevent it, just doing everything you can to make people feel supported, I would say, is just the best thing. Because, it is a scary thing to go through.
Yeah, and, like, fundraising in any way. Like, bake sales, just asking people.
Bake sales are huge. Like, you could raise so much money, you know? There are a lot of things, so definitely just being involved, so. Yeah. That's the biggest thing.
Some other things, like, in the second half, we're going to talk about things that, like, we've had, you know, like, some, like, allergies. I'm lactose intolerant.
I'm allergic to tree nuts, so.
Yeah. It's kind of embarrassing. No, I'm joking. This is true. But other illnesses, like, a lot of, I feel like this is more like for women in, like, menstruating people. Like, if you have, like, periods is such a big thing. You know, like, so girls all across the world go through it, and like having that be irregular is a scary thing. Like, people have things like endometriosis, PCOS, like,
or like some people never get their period. I think it's called amenorrhea, right? I think that might be the name for it.
But that's, like, a scary thing for a lot of people because they, like, don't know what they're going through. And, like, a lot of the time it's really painful, too. Like,
I know endometriosis is, like, so painful. Yeah. Like,
even if you have a regular period, like, just the cramps in general are super painful. So, like, that's, like, those are things that, like, that just in general. But when it comes to, like, the disease aspect of it, like, a lot of girls that, like, go through, like, early menopause, PCOS, like, endometriosis, that, like, can render them unable to, like, give birth, which is something that's really difficult to go through. But, like, being able to, like, support them and tell them that, like, this is normal and this is a thing a lot of people go through. Don't be ashamed of it. You're just as strong as any, like, you're that doesn't make you any less, like, female or whatever, because I feel like a lot of people are scared that, like, just because they can't, like, give birth, that, like, means that they aren't worth it.
And also, I guess it's just sad, like, if you wanted to have your own child, it would obviously just be devastating.
Yeah, and I feel like also letting people know that, like, it's not the end of the world. It is sad and it is devastating, and I honestly, like, we could never understand what that feels like, but, like, adoption is a great way to do things.
Yeah, and even if that's not, like, up your alley, just, you know, what was I gonna say?
I feel like you could foster kids if you don't want to have, like, a permanent kid. Or you could do, like, try doing, like, in vitro, which is, like, a way that you can get pregnant if you're having a hard time doing so. In vitro is basically where they, like, make the baby embryo in the lab and, like, kind of put it in you.
Basically, so there are ways, and if it's, like, not possible for you, then, you know, there's always, like, adoption, and if not, it's, like, it's hard to deal with, though. Like, it's, like, grief, in a way, you know?
Yeah, and I think that wraps up our first half.
Yeah, so second half we'll talk more about, like, asthma, diabetes, like, allergies, like, epilepsy, stuff like that.
Okay.
All right, bye!
Welcome back from the break.
Hello. So second half, I'm gonna start off with, like, epilepsy, because it's, like, basically this like, disease. I don't know. Condition where you, like, get seizures frequently. So, like, something like flashing lights could, like, trigger a seizure. So, like, I actually knew someone in middle school who had epilepsy, so it would, like, cause them to have seizures, like, very frequently. So Yeah, it's where you basically have episodes of, like, frequent seizures. And that can be very, like, scary and dangerous. So, like, definitely what you can do is just call 911. Like, if you know someone is having a seizure, like, some of the telltale signs are, like, shaking, or, like, if they're, like, unresponsive, or really if anyone's just, like, not acting normal and they're not responding to you and they're unresponsive and you can tell something's wrong, call 911 right away. Like, that's definitely something you should do. Like, with anything else, too. But, yeah, so epilepsy, it's caused, I'm not sure why it's caused, actually, but, yeah.
It could be genetic, I think.
It could be genetic, yeah. But, if someone's having a seizure, like, you shouldn't, like, touch them or anything or hold them down. But if it's, like, worsening a lot, definitely call 911. Yeah. Or, like, if someone at your school, like, tell the teacher right away, you know, do. Yeah. And it's pretty recognizable, I would say. Like, I've never actually seen someone have a seizure, but, like, I'd say it's, like, fairly recognizable to tell.
Yeah, like, if they're shaking and their eyes are rolling
usually you, like, fall to the ground and you're, like, shaking and, yeah. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Next, we're going to talk about diabetes. So there's two types of diabetes. And type 1 diabetes is basically when it's like a genetic thing, and it typically like you find out you have it when you're younger. I actually have a teacher whose like she just found out her son has type 1 diabetes.
Wow.
And it's basically like glucose is basically sugar, and we need sugar, like glucose, for energy, and that's what our bodies, like our organs and cells use to like for energy, and like what we use to move and stuff. But having too much sugar can be dangerous because it could lead to a lot of other health issues. But the thing that like allows us to process sugar is the thing called insulin. And insulin is like a hormone that basically allows that sugar to be processed in our cells, and it determines like how much we take in. But sometimes in type 1 diabetes, if you don't have enough of the insulin to regulate the sugar, then it could like your blood sugar could be too high, and like your body isn't able to process that glucose, so it could be very dangerous, and like it could lead to like strokes and stuff. Yeah, and fainting and like all this sorts of issues.
Yeah.
And then type 2 diabetes is like, it happens when you're older. It's something that you develop. It's not something that like you're genetically born with. And it's basically when you're like unhealthy and you have too high sugar levels to the point where like your insulin can't keep up with it, even though your insulin's working normally. Like even if you have the right amount of insulin and you still have like a good amount of insulin, if your blood sugar levels are too high, then like your body just doesn't react to it and you still have too much blood sugar.
Yeah.
So that's dangerous.
And yeah, a lot of people with diabetes, though, like, carry around, like, an insulin pump or, like, a needle because they need to inject, like, insulin into their body. Like, for, like, type 1 especially, so, like, and they can have, like, hypoglycemic, like, episodes, so during those, if it seems severe, again, like, call 911. That's kind of, like, a default thing, but also just, like, making sure that they have the right equipment and stuff, so.
Yeah, and if you, like, also, like, if your parents or something, or even your grandparents have, like, a history of type 1 diabetes, check yourself out.
Watch out and go to the doctor, too,
yeah,
if you feel
just,
like you're exhibiting symptoms. Yeah. Like, some of the symptoms are, like, fatigue, headaches, confusion, like, blurred vision. But then again, like, some symptoms that are, like, could be common with, like, anything. So, like, going to the doctor is probably the best thing. Yeah. Like, don't you hate it when you, like, some of your symptoms are, like, symptoms of, like, 500 different things. So, it's, like, you don't even...
Literally,
like I feel like fatigue...
And, like,
fatigue is... It could be cancer or it could be, like, a cold.
Literally.
Like, yeah. But anyways, all right.
Asthma.
So asthma is basically like a condition where like someone's airways are like inflamed, so it can make it hard to breathe. And a lot of the times people with asthma can have like episodes where they really can't breathe. So a lot of people have inhalers, which basically like open up their airways and allow them to breathe easier.
It has like medication that you like push in.
Yeah, I forget the name of the medication inside it, but there is like...
My mom has asthma actually, and like she has an inhaler. She uses it when like the air quality is bad, like if there's a fire happening, or like if it's just like really like crisp air or whatever.
And I know actually a lot of people who like moved somewhere with like higher altitude have to use inhalers too, because that's like when you move somewhere from like low altitude to high altitude, it's kind of like a shock to your body. So
yeah, because high altitude has like a lower oxygen concentrate in the air, so it's like a lot of like I knew someone who lived in a place with high altitude, and they said that like this Hawaiian dude came to their neighborhood and he literally like I think he fainted or had a stroke or something because of the altitude levels. Yeah. And he literally like could not breathe, and he had the ambulance had to come to their neighborhood.
Yeah. So call 911 if it seems serious, but if they have an inhaler, that should be like the first thing they do for sure. And like obviously if someone's like wheezing or like coughing or having trouble breathing, those are like the telltale signs.
Yeah. Lastly, on to allergies.
Yes. So I have like tree nut allergies, which are like severe. So like there are different classifications for like allergies. Like there's like being like you're lactose intolerant.
Yes. Like so like intolerance is a bit different than like allergies, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like, if you're intolerant, that basically means that like your body can't like process like lactose, which is like something that's in like milk and like dairy product, and so like it results in like uncomfortable stomach. Like you have a lot of stomach pain, like sharp pains, you throw up sometimes, like diarrhea, constipation, like all that stuff I've experienced. Honestly, I still eat milk, which is not good, but I don't really care. I should care. That's like a really bad thing. But a lot of people with like, I have bad lactose intolerance. It's not like the base one, because a lot of people have lactose intolerance. Mine's like actually bad, but I still like eat dairy products. I'm completely off of like pure milk, and I try not to eat like cheese like at all, but I do sometimes. So
cheese is good,
and I just like deal with the pain. I'm honestly like now I just ignore it because I've been through it so many times that I don't even care. And then there's also like gluten intolerance, which is like you just have
there's like celiac disease.
Yeah, celiac is like where you actually can't have gluten, and it like could literally like destroy your digestive system. But if you have an intolerance, it's like less severe.
Yeah, it's like an intolerance is more like you'll have like uncomfortable symptoms, but like if it's like an allergy, like you could like die. Like there's this thing called like anaphylactic shock, where like if you eat a certain thing, like your airways close up because like your body rejects it, so your airways close up and then you can't breathe and then you like die. But like people use like EpiPens. Like I have an EpiPen, which basically like I don't even know like how it works really, but you just like put it on your thigh in like a certain spot, and it's like a needle, and it injects like epinephrine, I think it's called, into your body, and then that like helps. But definitely if someone's having an allergy and it's serious, like serious would be like they can't breathe, like throwing up everywhere,
they faint even.
Then definitely like call 911 straight away, and they also might have like an EpiPen right near them. So
and like I think a lot of like just like airplanes and schools and stuff, they have EpiPens at hand. So like go to the nurse's office, stab them. Literally, how do you use an EpiPen? You just stab them in the thigh.
You like take the cover. Some of them have like instructions too. So you basically just take the covering off. A needle comes out. Like
just stab it in like the meatiest
in the thigh, the meaty part.
It honestly, I've heard it doesn't really matter where you stab it, but the thigh is the best place.
Yeah, it's thigh is the best. Like
I think is left the best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, left is the best.
Because I think it goes.
It doesn't like hurt super badly. Like it's like not.
And if they're fainting, then it's better than dying.
And like seriously, like it's actually
just literally stab it and push. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, and then it like makes you feel weird because you're all like shaky all over the place. But then it helps.
At least you're not dead.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. All right. So, thank you for listening. Is that all?
Stay
or do you
tuned.
No, okay. So, basically, just be on the watch, always be ready to call 911 when you need to.
Yeah, if you have, like, a genetic history in your family, check that out, because you could have a disease that could be prevented if you find out soon.
Please understand that, like, there are people around you who will support you, so.
And there's also people around you who are going through, like, certain diseases that they're ashamed to talk about, like PCOS, or they're like just struggling with, so like empathizing is important.
Support your friends, absolutely. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something, and we'll see you next week. Bye.